everyone. I am City Commissioner Dan Ryan, and I welcome you to the Portland Children's Levy Allocation Committee meeting. And speaking for the committee and all of us, we hope that you and your loved ones had a safe holiday as the pandemic does continue. And really we're so grateful for our first responders, our frontline medical staff, our caregivers, the many people on the front lines. And it also makes us think about our Levy partners and others in the social service community who are working diligently to keep our city's children and families healthy at this time. Today's an exciting day. We'll be making funding decisions on the Small Grants Fund applications. The Small Grants Fund was created to reach more children, youth, and families from marginalized communities, those with disabilities, and or with intersectional identities through organizations that haven't received Levy funding in the past. So today's funding decisions will go to the City Council in December for final approval. And I'm happy to say that today we are joined by the following committee colleagues. Welcome, Multnomah County Commissioner Jessica Vega Peterson. Let's see, has Felicia? No, okay, she's not here yet. Welcome, City Appointed Member Tracy Rossi. And welcome business leader Mitch Hornicker. So that is the commission. And I also want to acknowledge the Levy staffers who are with us today. Lisa Pellegrino, Meg McElroy, Lisa Hansel, Erica Bridgman Bagnoli, John Kelly, John Colligan, and Mary Kay Pordrick. So welcome to everyone. Glad you're all here on this Monday after the holiday. And for everyone who's joining us online, you will be able to see the PowerPoint presentation and Excel spreadsheet which shows the small grant funding decisions and a video during the meeting so you can follow along. Before we begin, on behalf of the committee and the Levy staff, we want to thank all of those organizations that participate in the small grant funding process. We really appreciate the time and the energy that you put into participating and applying. And just thank you for all that you're doing for our city's children and families. Please know we learn a lot from everyone that participated. We also want to thank the design team and the community reviewers for their collaboration. Unique perspectives for helping us carry out the Levy's first small grants funding process. And all said, I also want to just acknowledge the hundreds of volunteer hours that went into this work. And it truly did come from the grassroots. This was a community-led effort. And we're so appreciative of that. So with that, let's begin approving the minutes from the September 14th meeting. May I ask for a motion?
I motion to accept the minutes from September.
Well, welcome, Felicia Tripp. That's a great way to welcome you to the meeting. Thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh God, that was tough competition. I saw Tracy before I saw Commissioner Peterson, so Tracy gets the second. All right, so with that completed, now we have Levy Small Grants Fund Manager Erica Bridgman Bagnoli, and will provide us an overview of the Small Grants Fund process. And Erica, I know that you've been just living and breathing this for the past few months, so we look forward to what will feel like a very short summary of all the many hours that you put into this. So welcome, Erica.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Ryan. I'm going to share my screen here for a second. Okay. So I want to begin. Yeah, there we go. I want to begin just by reviewing the purpose of the Small Grants Fund today. The Small Grants Fund was designed to increase equity by investing in programs of small organizations with budgets of $1 million a year or less that have not had access to PCL funds before and that arise from marginalized communities, including people who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color, immigrant and refugee, LGBTQ, two-spirit, intersex, asexual, plus, and people with disabilities. The Small Grants Fund was designed by a 6-person design team who incorporated feedback from the community conversations as well as public testimony. That the design team members met 6 times to plan the entire process, and they also participated in reviewer meetings and in trainings. And so now I want to take a moment to tell you about them. Our first design team member is Tuan Duan, who is the Equity and Inclusion Manager at the Portland Housing Bureau, and she spent over 15 years as a researcher and program evaluator, primarily examining youth serving systems, including the child welfare, juvenile justice, and education systems. She has the lived experience of being a Vietnamese refugee and a single parent living in Portland. She was also the principal investigator of the review of the PCL grant-making process in 2019. And as some of you may remember, one of the primary recommendations of that review was the development of a small grants program. So she brought her valuable insight of PCL operations to the design team. Next is Tonisha Toler, and she's a program officer at the Collins Foundation and focuses on building community connections and relationships, specifically with underserved and underfunded communities. Ms. Toler recently developed a small initiative to fund small and emerging nonprofits in the state of Oregon that are majority led by communities of color and are working at the intersections of community. She has a deep passion for issues impacting homelessness and LGBTQ youth, as well as 2 decades of experience partnering with communities of color, immigrants and refugees, people with disabilities, and LGBTQ communities. Her experience and uplifting spirit were invaluable in this design team process. Next is Frances Sallah, and she currently works for Early Learning Multnomah, which is a part of the United Way of the Columbia Willamette. She has a passion for supporting kids and families of color. She's fiercely committed to lifting up the voices of those who aren't typically heard to better inform policies, programs, and practices in the early learning world. And as she works and partners for equity, she draws on her experience as a social worker, mother, Black woman, and former member of the military. She skillfully handled operations for the Office of Self-Sufficiency at Oregon's Department of Human Services for 18 years. And through it all and throughout this process, she's kept a sharp sense of humor, the gift for keeping it real, and the guts to always tell it like it is to all of us. Next is Alix Sanchez, pronouns they, them. Alix is a proud Two-Spirit person and a member of the Little Shell Band of Ojibwe. They are a senior manager at the Multnomah County Domestic and Sexual Violence Coordination Office. Alix has over 10 years of experience in the health and human services field in both direct service delivery and administration, and their areas of focus are domestic violence, child welfare, and parent education. Alix is familiar with PCL systems and has worked in PCL-funded programs in the past, as well as served as a reviewer for the large grants. They are deeply committed to addressing institutional oppression at all levels of their work and building strong multi-sector collaboratives to support communities most affected by systemic inequities. Their unique perspective was invaluable in this process. And fifth, we have Violeta Rubiani, who is a grants director at the McKenzie River Gathering Foundation. She was born and raised in Paraguay and has been an Oregonian since 2000. She's dedicated her professional career to improving access to opportunities, services, and programs for all Oregonians. She's also a 2017 graduate of Unite Oregon's pilot training and a passionate advocate for social and environmental justice. And finally, we have Sarah Hisi. Sarah works as an advocacy consultant for the refugee community. She graduated from Portland State University with a BS in psychology and a master's of social work. She participated in the Disability Leadership Academy in Portland and the Disability Justice Leaders Collaborative at the Northwest Health Foundation. Since 2014, Sarah has been working as an advocate for the disabled refugee community to bring greater awareness to people about the barriers and challenges for the disabled community. She's done listening sessions about disability awareness, and her passion is to get greater equity and inclusion for people with disabilities. She always kept our work focused on the intersectional perspective of disability. So again, I want to thank all of these amazing members of our design team who participated in this process and brought their unique expertise to the work. Next, we're going to look at the step 2 process that we just completed, in which they participated in designing. So we received our step 2 applications on October 2nd. And that included the organizational budgets of each applicant. And they were reviewed by PCL staff to verify eligibility amounts and make any corrections to requests based on eligibility amounts. After the budget review, one applicant withdrew their application. And then the remaining applicants participated in video interviews with reviewers and PCL staff over Zoom. The review team was composed of the 6 original design team members and 6 people who were recruited from the community by design team members and PCL staff who had the requisite skills and qualifications that were listed in our community reviewer job description. And the job description had been drafted to include qualities that were identified by community members as important during the community conversations. So in order to do the scoring, we had the reviewers split into pairs. There were 5 pairs of reviewers that reviewed 2 applications each, and 1 pair received 1 application, since we ended up with an odd number. It was worth a total of 84 points. And you can see the breakdown here. The majority were for the application, and 20 points were allocated towards the interviews. Okay. So the same pair of reviewers participated in the interviews with the applicants, and PCL staff attended the step 2 interviews, but really only to facilitate and convene. The interview scores were averaged together. So each reviewer's score was averaged together, and each reviewer's application score was averaged together. And then they were totaled together for a total step 2 score. And one thing to note, one of the reasons why the interviews were seen as especially important was as an equity balancing tool. The review team and the design team felt that it was especially important to have a way that organizations who may not have as experience of grant writers, or who may come from cultures that value oral traditions above the written word, to give them a chance to really highlight the strengths of their organization. So through this process, 8 of 11 applications were recommended for funding. And they were prioritized based on highest overall score, highest interview score, prioritized to include those equity considerations I just mentioned. And then also hunger relief. They prioritized food distribution to families during the COVID-19 crisis, since we know that hunger is really impacting our community at this time. So this is just an overview of the whole process. So in the beginning, in step 1, we had 31 applications, 12 moved to step 2, and 8 have been recommended for funding. The original request was about 4.4 million in requests. And with the reviewer recommendations, we now have narrowed that down to the 1 million that's currently available. They are broken down by program area here, with the recommended organizations 3 being in after school, 4 being in mentoring, 1 in hunger relief. And then in the focus of the application, the disability focused applications mean that they were a program or an organization that specifically focused on disability, and they were asked to take additional steps to include Black, Indigenous, people of color who have disabilities in their program. And the BIPOC focus applications were organizations that were primarily focused on BIPOC communities, and where we're asking them to think of steps to take to be more inclusive of children from their communities who have disability. So of the disability focused applications, 3 originally came in and 1 has moved forward and been recommended. 28 originally came in step 1, 11 moved to step 2 of the BIPOC focus, and 7 have been recommended for funding. That takes us to where we are today. So the applicants received their funding recommendations on November 13th and their individual scores on the 17th. The applicants had the opportunity to record video testimony after receiving their scores and the reviewer funding recommendations. The allocation committee received these materials, the application summaries, as well as access to the video recorded testimony and interviews. And then the allocation committee members submitted their individual funding preferences to staff. The staff then aggregated the member preferences in order to be able to facilitate this meeting. And the allocation committee members have been given those aggregated slates just before this meeting. Applications are ordered. When we present in the next step on the spreadsheet, we will be presenting applications ordered for discussion based on the highest score and the greatest number of committee members listing the application. And then we'll go through each one and list tentative amounts per application. And if we need to make adjustments, once we get through the whole list, we can go back and make any adjustments to tentative funding amounts. And then Commissioner Ryan will call for a final vote on the full slate of recommendations. So that is all I have. Now I'd like to turn it back to Commissioner Ryan to begin our discussion on the funding amounts, unless first there's any questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you, Erica. Yeah, the floor is open for questions, comments. Anyway, let's do some dialogue if you'd like at this time, please. The floor is yours.
I thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Erica, I just want to thank you and everybody who was on the design committee and the review committees for all of the work in moving this forward. It was a brand new process that was created from scratch. I think it was something that was important that we did as a board and for the Portland Children's Levy to be able to expand access to these programs. And I was really pleased to see the type of applications we got, the interest in doing this, and really appreciate all the work that went into getting, the recommendations into us, but all of the help that went along in helping these organizations get through the process too. So I just think it was, we've ended up in a really good place for this final decision. And just I'm so grateful for all the work that went through in making it happen and making this be an opportunity for so many organizations here in Portland.
Thank you, Commissioner Peterson. Appreciate it. Other comments, please, or questions? And for those viewing in, we have all of us received the details of this that we're looking at as well. Eric, I think I'll have you maybe put up the actual listing of the ones that we're funding, the totals $1 million, maybe on the screen.
Yes.
Viewers can see what we're looking at.
Do you want, which data sheet do you want, Commissioner Ryan? Just the full one that has the description, or the ones with your preferences?
The one that totals $1 million, that has all of the ones that you're recommending that we fund. I get to apologize for not thinking about this until now, and I appreciate that you're digging through your Word documents in real time. This is transparency for sure. Yeah.
There's just multiple spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Sorry but keep talking while we do that. I'm going to get this up real fast.
I just want, for the record, I just want to acknowledge, Mitch, you had some really good thinking about this and have decided not to go through with some of the suggestions, but I appreciate that there has been dialogue over the last week about all of these applicants. And so I wanted to put that out. And Mitch, if you want to say anything, that would be great. And then while I have the floor, I just want to make a comment on how impressed I am with the design team that you all put together. It was, maybe I just didn't notice it on my first day of my job when it was mentioned at the last meeting, but what an impressive group of people with really amazing lived experience and professional experience. I just can't tell you how rich it was to, and it was important for me to have them in my mind while I was going through what you have here. I realized they put a lot of effort to get to this and stayed within the confines and the boundaries that we gave them. So.
Commissioner Ryan, are you seeing the funding recommendations on your screen?
Yes, thank you. It's up on the screen. I should have told you that.
I put it up, but I kept also seeing my PowerPoint. So
you know, one reason I think it helped me to see this again is just to make sure we take care of business here and ask my colleagues to state if they have any conflict of interest with any of the organizations that we're looking to fund. It's a small town and you're all very active people. So I ask that you scan that, and for the record, if there's any conflict of interest, please let us know.
Dan, maybe hearing no conflict of interest, I'll just jump in and say I really appreciate, I wanted to second all the comments you made about the folks that put in a lot of time designing this, and the reviewers and Erica and the whole PCL staff coming up with a new program, and from scratch that really looks like we hit the bullseye in terms of what we set out to do, which is wonderful. I did, and I appreciate you mentioning it, Dan, I did try to think outside the box, I guess, a little bit to find a path to where we could fully fund these programs, mostly since they're pilot projects and we want to give them every chance to succeed. But definitely after seeing all of my colleagues supporting staff's recommendation at the funding levels they are, I'm very happy to support that level as well and change from what I originally was proposing to correspond with everybody else's supporting staff's recommendations.
Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate it. And it was a great conversation. Yes, Lisa.
Just point of clarification, because I know this is different than our other processes. These are not staff recommendations. These are reviewer recommendations. So in the past, in our large grant round, staff has done recommending, but we changed this process to have the review team do it. So Erica, although she facilitated the meeting, did not actually participate in the recommendations. I just wanted to make the change different. I know you're used to the old Mitch. You've been through a lot of meetings.
I know. Trapped again by old ways of thinking. So yes, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that correction.
Thank you, Lisa. And I really appreciate that you, again, allowed us to actually see the faces and the names of those on the design team. Very helpful. Anything else? Felicia, Tracy?
Yeah, I'll chime in. I want to echo also the appreciation to Erica, the staff, and the review team for this process. I'm really happy that we're able to make some time to prioritize our smaller nonprofits that aren't always seen. And I just also wanted to share the difficulty. I would have loved to have recommended all of the wonderful organizations to have been funded. And I felt it to be really, really a difficult process to make some harsh decisions that that resulted in not all of my recommendations going to all of the folks. And I really tried, I did my math and I tried to disperse it, and just wanted to share that it felt like in order for the organizations who were being funded, the recommendations, to fully realize their plans, that there needed to be a good amount of funding for them to do that, and to have provided funding to all of the organizations that had asked. I feel like we would not have been able to provide enough funding for any of them. So it was a very difficult decision, but I just wanted to share a little bit of my rationale about agreeing with some of the recommendations and not being able to fund what I think are phenomenal organizations that I ended up not recommending.
I would have to say, Erica and the rest of the team, what I really appreciated about the small grants process is even the ones that were not funded received support. So when they go for another round of grant funding, just the level of detail that you put into training, assistance, support for even the ones that we did not fund is greatly, greatly appreciated. Just spending that time, you explaining the process of going from step 1 to step 2 and now to recommendation. I think it's so critical that you are like, it's not only about funding the grant applications that we're funding. You also talked about, Erica, about expanding the capacity of the ones that we don't fund. And I want you to know that's the part that I'm really, really appreciative of as well, that you and the review team also thought about the people that aren't receiving funding and the barriers around why they're not receiving funding, and how you could support them through the barriers so that when they come back to us, they're a stronger applicant. And for that, I really want to thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to build on what Felicia Tripp just said, and that is, when we go forward with those that are being awarded and you have that amazing design team, what's the process look like when it comes to summaries and checking in with them a year from now? Will the design team be engaged in the professional development, is what I'm taking from the last comments, with those that we're providing these grants towards? Because my lived experience is sometimes you can feel all on your own on the other end, and to try to keep that wall down and make sure that we're having transparency so that we can continue to help them develop their capabilities.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. So a couple of things. First, I really appreciate all of the words of support and encouragement about this capacity building component of the process. That really has been a huge part of the whole process. So at the end of step 1, the organizations who didn't move from step 1 to step 2, I kept on my, well, first of all, I offered meetings to all of them individually through Zoom to go over, the reasons why they weren't able to move forward. In some cases, it was just, we could only take so many, but to do a little bit of coaching around that and referred them to other organizations that could work with them on building their capacity, and from everything from grant writing to strategic planning to marketing, whatever. And I plan to follow up with a similar process for the organizations that don't move forward at the end of step 2. Is to continue to do that, as well as sending out resources of other grant opportunities. As far as design team goes, we really designed the whole process to get us to this point and then forward to the city council. We did, PCL staff sent out a survey to our review team and to our community members to get feedback about the whole process so far and what could be improved and changed. And we're still in the process of doing that analysis, but once we have that, I plan on presenting that to the design team and getting their feedback on kind of changes and next steps. They really didn't commit to needing to be that involved once we get everybody funded. So we'll have to do some thinking about what that looks like. But my plan would be as, in accordance with whatever resources we have available to offer some trainings to the grantees as well. We did gather information about all the kinds of technical assistance they want. And I have even had partnering organizations talk to me about some ways that we can offer ongoing TA in a variety of topics, from disability to, grant writing and so forth. So I'm still in the process of figuring out what 2021 looks like, since 2020 didn't look like anything I anticipated. So we are adjusting and still figuring that piece out.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. And we'll look forward to, more updates on that. So it's wonderful to be involved with a pioneer program, because you can, all you can do is think out of the box. So it's great. Yeah. Any other questions from my colleagues? Hearing none, are you all ready to vote? Would anyone like to do a motion to approve the recommendations?
So go ahead.
Before that, you have a question? Yes, Commissioner Vega Peterson.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to clarify, because I know this process is a little bit different than what we did before. So Erica, is that what you were going to do, is talk through the process?
Yes. So we were planning on going through each.
Oh, I jumped the gun.
Yes. We're going through each because we do have commissioner agreement pretty much on who to fund. But at this point, we don't totally have commissioner agreement on amounts in all cases. So we need to go through line by line.
Okay. Carry on.
So John Kelly has a spreadsheet he can share to help us with the process. Okay. So the first application to discuss is application number SGF 19. It is the African Youth and Community Organization, ICO. And 5 of you wish to recommend this organization, but one person wanted to fund it at the original request amount of $178,773. One person wanted to fund it at $157,000, and the other 3 wish to fund it at the community reviewer recommended amount of $156,000. So on that one, I'd like to turn it to Commissioner Ryan for discussion.
Okay, any discussion on African Youth and Community Organization?
Dan, maybe I'll just say again, I'm the one that had the full amount of each grant in my proposed slate, but as I'm saying, Erica, I'll amend that to be the reviewer's suggested grant level for each one of those.
Okay. We also had one person recommend it for $1,000 more.
I had a question about that. And I appreciate Lisa sending over the allocation committee members' preferences this morning. And I noticed that on Felicia's recommendation. And I didn't know if that was, because it looked like there were 2 that were like, one was 156 for everyone and yours was 157. And then the other ones where it was switched. And I didn't know if that was an error, because I did that, I've done that before in using these spreadsheets, or if there was if it was intentional.
No, that was an error. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being human, Felicia.
Okay. So then we have the tentative amount for that one. The next organization is number 11, Camp Elso. 5 of you wish to fund that. And everyone agreed at 157 except Mitch. And Mitch, I'm hearing that you'll go with the reviewer recommended amount. Okay.
Correct.
So then the next one is number 16, Portland Tennis and Education. And that one was, all 5 of you wished to fund that. We had one person want to fund it at 156 and everyone else at 157. I think that 156 was Felicia, and Felicia, you said it was a mistake that you inversed those. Is that true?
Yes, that is correct.
So then that tentative amount remains. The next one is number 8, Brown Girl Rise. And the reviewer recommended amount for that organization was $57,000. And all 5 of you are listing wanting to fund at that amount. The next one, number 14, Elevate Oregon. And the recommended funder amount that looks like you're all in agreement on now is $144,000. Next is number 18, Ethiopian and Eritrean Cultural Resource Center. And the reviewer recommended amount is $85,000. And all 5 of you have said that you wish to fund that. Next is Urban Gleaners. I'm sorry, John, that's number 13. And that's the reviewer recommended amount is $100,000. And you were all in agreement on that. And then last but not least is number 20, Native Wellness Institute. And it is the reviewer recommended amount of $144,000. And that completes our slate. So if there's any discussion of those tentative amounts, we can you can lead that, Commissioner, or you are also able to call for a vote.
Thank you, Erica. Okay, now that we see it in front of us and everyone else can see it as well, are there any other questions before we move this forward? Hearing none, would anyone like to provide a motion? Please.
I move this slate of small grants funding decisions as recommended or as shown on the spreadsheet and recommended by the reviewers.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Jessica Vega Peterson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Mitch. And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Maybe I should call roll call. I think everyone said yes, right? This is I can't see the whole room at the moment. And anyone against? Okay, this passes 5-0. Thank you. Applause. Everyone's clapping right now. Oh yeah, do this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's exciting. Okay. I'm finding where I left off. Do I turn this over to you, Lisa? Can you help me?
That's correct. Yeah, I want to give you a chance to finish finding. But yes, I've got some updates for folks. So I've got a few updates to put forward, and then John Coughlin is going to show a video. I'll let him introduce that.
Now I finally found my script. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Actually, before you go forward, I do want to take a breath with all of you because this was a big deal. I wasn't here for the creation of this. Many of you were. And the way Lisa, you and your team, Erica, driving, it really is impressive. And these are organizations that many people don't know about. And so as an organization, we're lifting them up and helping them build some resilience at a very important time. So I know I speak for all of us that we're very proud to be a part of this organization at this moment in time. And I really want to thank all of you. And I also want to thank those that did not receive the grants. I know that can sound, I've been in your shoes before, but based on what I keep hearing from the staff and from Erica in particular, is that we are building relationships with all of you. And it's more of, always look at the long term, always turn a no into a yes. That's what you learn when you're in the nonprofit sector. So thank you for your engagement. We need you. And so next up is Lisa Pellegrino, who will provide updates on a few miscellaneous items.
First, I'll join in the chorus of thanks. Thank you, Erica, for leading the discussion, for leading the process, and for bringing a lot of new thinking and different ways of doing things. I've really appreciated it personally, and I think it's done enormous credit to the Levy. So thanks again. And I really look forward to seeing how getting to know a lot of new organizations that I don't personally know. So that'll be an enrichment for all of us, and the committee will get to hear next time we get together. So our updates are on what happened with the large grants. So I just wanted to sort of let everyone know we are still in process. We've got now all but one agreement through the city process and fully signed, so that shapes up to be able to pay people and be able to move money into organizations and support for the community. We are still working on budgets for about 20% of the grants. Our budget process has been a little bit longer this year due to some changes in the guidelines that we made, and also because of COVID, everything just seeming to take longer with not having people in offices together with their finance staff and being able to put together and get answers to questions. And then, of course, various people often also. It's been a challenge, and I want to commend the organizations that have really worked hard to get us what we need, and we are nearly there. We're almost at the finish line. So we are also actively processing and paying invoices on Q1 for people. So money is moving out into the community on the large grants, which I thought you would want to hear from your decisions last June, or decisions in April and May, and then the city council approval in June. For upcoming visit, just a little bit of a preview of upcoming business. We will, at our next meeting, which will likely be March, we're going to be shooting for quarterly meetings, and we'll try to set I know a number of you have asked for us to set the meetings at the beginning of the year for everybody. So we will do that this year, recognizing that if we can't get a quorum, we may have to switch some down the line, but we will do that plan for quarterly meetings this year. And at the next one, so March-ish, we'll be looking at the annual grant performance report, which we usually give in January, February. We'll have some quantitative data for the first 3 quarters of the year, qualitative data for the final quarter of the year. We're going to be doing some theming of what we've heard in reports and give you a sense of how people coped with that first quarter of COVID. We will also have a revenue forecast in January. So if you just can put yourself back in, Commissioner Ryan wasn't with us at that point, in April and May of the year, we made the grants based on the 2020 revenue projections that we had, knowing that they may well not be correct. So we'll hopefully have new ones as the plan goes in January, and then we'll have some analysis for you all on possible effects and whether or not we have to do anything with that, depending on what the news is. So that should be coming in March as well. And those are the 2 main things coming up for next. Last update is around staffing changes. So Mary Gay Broderick, who is up on screen, is going to be leaving her position at the end of the year after 16 years with the Levy as a communications and outreach director. So a very long tenure. And during that time, Mary Gay has really done an amazing job at publicizing the incredible work that the partner organizations do, getting media stories, doing annual community reports with lots of photography and videos, and assisting grantee communication staff and publicizing their agencies and their work, and also organizing community projects like the mural, which about a year ago, which seems like an eternity ago, that we could all be together painting anything. But I'm glad you got it done before COVID hit, and I get to see it all the time when I pass by. Mary Gay has really been for those of you who don't know her as well, has been a really committed team player and always willing to pitch in with any duty or project that might come up. And there have been many miscellaneous projects over the years, including even facilitating a funding meeting, which is not her job, when my husband had a stroke. So I have to personally thank her for that. She had to take on the role you just saw and jump in at the last minute when other people are out of town. So that's the spirit in which she has participated in our staff. And on behalf of the staff, I really wanted to thank her for her years of service and true passion and commitment to children, and that is kind of square one for everyone on our staff. And so thank you, Mary Gay. And just so you know, John Coughlin, who is also up on the screen, is going to be transitioning to handling the communications duties for the Levy, and sort of over the next month and a half, we'll be working through that transition project to take over fully in the new year. So that is the staff update and news, and sort of upcoming business. I'm happy to take any questions or hear anything, and then pass it to John Coughlin for the video.
Anyone like to comment before I do, after the update by Lisa?
Thank you, Mary Kay. Really appreciate working with you.
Yeah, it's been great. I'll miss you all. It's been a great ride. My youngest was pre-K when I started, and she's a sophomore in college now. So it's we've been through a lot together. It's been wonderful, and it's great staff, great community partners, and I've learned a lot, and it's been really humbling actually to work with the grantees. They're just an amazing group of dedicated organizations, and but carry on. I'm in Denver now. My husband retired last month, and we're going to be hitting the ski slope soon. So.
I just want to add my thanks. Thank you so much, Mary Gay. It was so wonderful working with you as I was coming on board and learning things and going on visits to, some of the grant recipients. And I just really appreciate your support and all the work that you've done over the years. Your kids grew up with the Portland Children's Levy, it sounds like, so that's a huge part of your life. And I just wish you all the best in Denver and recreating and all the fun things you'll be able to enjoy now.
Thank you.
Ditto what Commissioner Vega Peterson said. I just want to say, Mary Gay, you have just been a delight, and you will be forever missed. But I am so happy that your next part of your life is one where you get to do fun things and focus on yourself and, have fun. My husband's from Colorado. You've gone to a great state, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
And this is Tracy. I'll chime in, even though I feel like Mary Gay, I didn't have the opportunity to really get to know you because I just started last spring, I guess. It seems like forever ago. But having said that, you were certainly so helpful as I did my onboarding, and it was just a wonderful opportunity to learn more about the Levy, and you just were so professional and a breath of fresh air. So I will miss you as well.
Well, let me join in the chorus. Mary Gay, it's hard not to take this personally. I've known of you with more your emails for the last 16 years. And I actually knew your kids got through the K-12 system because I just happen to know things like that from my last job. And I'm really happy for you. But I'm bummed for Portland personally that you and your husband are leaving our market. So it's really a gain for Denver. And I just don't think you guys are going to be quiet. So I don't think that's in your DNA, and I hope it's not. So I look forward to hearing about the impact that you and your husband make on your new state that you're moving to. And I am bummed that you're moving, so I get to say that too. Anyway, thank you for all that you've done for the city of Portland, both you and your husband. Thanks. Now we're going to turn it over to the next thing on our, let's see. Oh, John, you're take it away, John. You're going to show us a video, right?
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to show a quick video here. I'm just setting it up.
And congratulations, John.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, on your
big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to show a quick video. It's about a 3-minute video. It's a Spanish language video produced in collaboration with one of our newest community partners. Familias en Acción has adapted its hunger relief services during the pandemic. And as I say, this is a Spanish language video, so there's English subtitles there, so you may want to, if you can, maximize your screen, which I'll do too.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Este programa de nutrición comenzó en el 2018 en colaboración con el OHSU Moore Institute. Hemos recibido apoyo del Portland Children's Levy para hacer nuestro trabajo específicamente en Southeast Portland por 3 años. Inicialmente habíamos planeado hacer clases en la comunidad de nutrición y también a trabajar con otras organizaciones para hacer clases de cocina tradicional y para asegurarnos que las familias latinas no pasaran por hambre. Hemos tenido que cambiar un poco el plan por la pandemia, pero ellos han sido muy flexibles y entienden que las necesidades ahorita han cambiado un poco, que no podemos hacer clases en persona y que ahorita la gente necesita comida. Durante el siguiente año, empezando desde mayo de este año hasta el próximo junio, vamos a estar con nuestra red de promotores de alimentos en Southeast Portland y ellos van a estar ayudando a las familias uno a uno a encontrar comida y recursos que necesitan.
Estoy en la casa, recibo llamadas. Joana, hay una familia que necesita comida. Contacto a las personas que conozco que están trabajando en bancos de comida o en organizaciones que ofrecen este servicio. Me conecto con ellos. Bueno, entender la cultura de la gente con la que estamos trabajando, la gente que estamos ayudando, creo que es la parte más importante. No se trata solamente de que habla mi idioma. No se trata solamente de que es una persona que habla español, sino que es una persona que sabe que yo vengo de una familia trabajadora, de una familia que a pesar de las dificultades seguimos trabajando, que yo vengo de una comunidad que me gusta ayudar a los demás, que yo vengo de una comunidad que nos empoderamos los unos a los otros y que sepan eso, que la persona que está enfrente de mí me está ayudando, sepa eso, realmente me quita todos los límites para que yo comparta con esa persona mis necesidades, para que yo tenga la confianza de decirle, ayúdame con una caja de comida. Eso es lo más importante en ese trabajo que estamos haciendo, la confianza, las relaciones.
Algo muy importante de nuestro programa es que habla acerca de esas inequidades que existen y las barreras que hay para nuestra comunidad. Y también nuestro programa realmente analiza lo que tenemos que hacer para mejorar esas condiciones y también para traer lo que son nuestros alimentos tradicionales a las familias y fortalecer a nuestras familias por medio de practicar como ellos ya saben cocinar, pero simplemente incluyendo recetas, ingredientes más saludables en nuestras dietas. Entonces es un programa de nutrición que realmente tiene un poquito de todo.
Mi parte favorita de este trabajo como promotora de alimentos definitivamente es mirar esas sonrisas de las familias cuando reciben una caja de comida. La satisfacción de que pude ayudar a alguien, la satisfacción de que una persona, una familia no se va a ir a la cama sin comer ese día y sobre todo que pude ayudarles a buscar el servicio, el recursos que necesitaban. Pude escucharlos.
Yay. Thank you so much, John. That was wonderful. Anyone like to comment on that before we close out the meeting? We have the applause going again. That was wonderful. It was wonderful to see it in Spanish. Thank you for doing that.
There's an English version too on our YouTube channel. Or with the English captions if you want.
I don't even care about that. I just think it's great. It was in Spanish and that there were subtitles. But yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah. Any other comments? Everyone liked it. You're all happy about that? Hey, guess what? We're going to give you some time back on this Monday after the holiday weekend. But before we close, I just want to say that, my hope is that when we'll reconvene in March, and I just so look forward to that. But in the meantime, I just hope all of you have a really safe and gentle and even some joy as you celebrate, however you celebrate the end of the year. And I also know who's on this call and in this meeting, and I just want to thank you for stretching, for doing all you can to be helpful to so many families that are struggling right now for some really deep, profound reasons. And I'm just really thankful to be a part of this body, this group. And I want to thank the staff for reflecting and moving forward on how we'll adjust to this time that we're in. And I know there'll be, to Mitch's point, more out of the box thinking as we really just take care of one another. And it all starts locally. So I'm just grateful to be a part of a community that has a really big heart. And I know all of you are too. So on that note, if you want to stay up to date on all of the activities, please look at the information through the Levy website and all other outreach communication, which will somehow continue even though Mary Gay is moving forward. John will make sure that happens. And until we meet again, please stay safe and well, and we'll see you soon. If not, for sure in March of 2021. Doesn't it feel good to say 2021 already? Yeah. All right. Be well, everyone. Take care. Thank you.